This little Panasonic CRT TV had two distinct faults. We saw them both when I first started working on this. By the time I had one fault fixed, the other one had fixed itself. But I persevered, went into the set, and found that there was a defect that had been in the set since it was manufactured in 1993. Let's check it out. For you guys that want to see a CRT video, you're gonna look. I have a 14-inch Panasonic TV here. This one's got a problem. Looks like it's got a couple problems. One, the picture looks like crap, but two, the picture is crushed vertically. No, that's not a 16:9 image. Well, it was shot on 16:9, but this is a 4:3 formatted image. I'll show you it on another 4:3 monitor, so you should see what it should look like. As you can see on my nicely burned monitor that I use for monitoring my cameras, the image is 4:3. It fills the full screen, and if I switch over to the camera channel, you'll see that the cameras also fill the full screen. I'll switch this one over to the cameras as well, so you can see it's got the same small image. So as you can see, the image is small. So there's a vertical problem with this monitor, but there's also a picture problem because that is not nearly bright enough. You'll notice that the on-screen display is bright. We can go through the brightness on here. Where's my brightness adjustment? You know, I can crank the brightness up, and now the picture is kind of becoming a bit unstable, but it definitely doesn't look right. You know, it's all washed out. You notice that when I turn up the brightness, see that? I'm sure that's coming across on camera. So we got a couple problems on this one. We've got a vertical deflection problem, and we have a problem in the video. Looks like the video circuit. We'll put up color bars and see how they look. So there's color bars. Yeah, color bars are looking pretty sad. Again, if I try to adjust the brightness, where are we here? Brightness. You see what's happening there? The picture's going all washed out. Yet it's not a picture tube problem because the on-screen display is bright as anything. Therefore, we have an issue inside this TV, and we're going to fix these issues today. People wonder why would you want a CRT monitor? Well, these are actually quite popular with the gaming community, the retro gaming community. And because they're now becoming more of a rarity, people are wanting to hang on to these little gems that they find and want them to look proper. This one, having an AV input, makes it a perfect candidate for playing old games on. So let's get the back off this one and see if we can figure out why the picture is poor as it is. Now, before we get started on this set, I have to point out the safety when working around a CRT television. These are all high voltage devices, namely the high voltage lead here, and in the area of the high voltage cap there could be as much as 30,000 volts. A small TV like this is probably only going to have around maybe 20 kilovolts or a little bit over, but a 30-inch TV or 27-inch TV would definitely have closer to 30 to 33 kilovolts. So safety first. Also, the focus lead here, this white one, is going to have around 10,000 volts on the back here, so you got to be careful if you're going to be measuring any voltages around the cap, around the CRT socket. You got to keep in mind that There are some high voltages here. A couple hundred volts, first of all, on the output transistors. I'm unplugged now, but this pin here in particular would have about 10,000 volts on it. You're not going to make contact with it, though. It doesn't come up on the back here. It's actually shielded inside the white wire there. But the screen voltage here would have a couple hundred volts on it. This one here, we can measure that one, and it will have a few hundred volts on it. Okay, I guess we'll measure the, oh, also, this is a hot chassis, this one. The power supply is not isolated, so basically one side of the AC line is connected to the chassis. So if I take my meter, for example, we got to use an isolation transformer on. It's even though it has a polarized plug, the side with the wider prongs should be the side that's connected to the hot ground. So you gotta be careful, because there are areas in this set where, like that one for example, that, you know, there's connectivity there. You know, this is 1.3 mega ohms, but still there's certainly the ability to get a shock off of one of these sets quite easily. I guess the heatsink on this one's not live, but the capacitor would be. The shield of, or the ground of the capacitor. Right, so there is a connection to the neutral on these sets, as you can see. So you could get a buzz from one of these. So it's a good idea to always use an isolation transformer when working on any of these hot chassis sets. I was hoping on this one that I could find a schematic so we could go through it together, but of course no such luck. No such luck. So let's just do some voltage measurements on our own. I'm going to connect my negative terminal of my meter to the cold ground, and we're going to measure some voltages in the video circuit and see whether our voltages are where they should be. Okay, power on. Let's take a look first at our cathode voltages. I'm going to remove my watch because I'm sticking my hands in a high voltage area of the TV, or relatively high voltage. Let's look at the cathodes. So cathode red, 128 volts. It's heater. Where the hell's the other ones? Cathode blue, 126. Where is the cathode green? Heater. That's G1. Cathode blue, 135. My G2 is 350 volts. Let's look at the video signal on scope going to the CRT. Again, I'm going to use my analog scope on this just because I know that this piece of junk digital scope that I've got is nobody good. Okay, we're going to look at the three cathodes. Remember, I am looking at color bars here. That's our blue. And this will be the red. And the green. These waveforms do not look normal. I can get my probe to stay there. Go at times 10 probe, or on 2 volts per division, so times 10. So 20, 40, 60, put 70 volts there. Yeah, there's something about the signal that's going to the cathode that I don't like. It doesn't look right for the color bar signal here. It just doesn't look right, and I think that voltage that I was measuring when I was measuring the cathodes, I'm getting 125. I think that might be a little bit on the high side. I'm just going to look at what my so my voltage coming in is 175. Yeah, I think those transistors aren't. I think the output transistors aren't being driven properly. Something's I got normal video coming out of the chip, but it's low up on the CRT. The video level's low on the CRT. It's almost like the AKB is not working properly, or the beam limiter. AC voltage, that one. It's 2 volts. It's 2. Current 83 volts. 0. Minus 0.3, and the other side of the resistor has 182 volts on it. This is in the AKB, or brightness limiter circuit. What is this? How many ohm resistor is this thing? Tough to see. That's a brown, slate, yellow. 190K. Well, let's measure it. See if it's 190K. There's 2 of them here, side by side. Oh, it'd help if I have the meter in the right mode. 10K. What's that one? Is that 110, that one, or 190? Two of those side by side. That one's, yeah, that one's 11000. So that one's 110K. The other one's 190. It's beside it. This one here is supposed to be 190K. Aha. That little bugger is open. Let's take it out. Okay, a little resistor here. Let's measure this. So you guys can see it again. Yeah, I think that's a little bit high. Let me see if I can find another one of these little resistors. Did I say 190K? I meant 180K. It's yellow, or sorry, it's brown slate, not brown white. Brown slate, or gray, if you want to call it gray. Looks to be gray, or is it? Get a closer look at this bloody thing. I'm pretty sure it's gray. It's such a small resistor. Yeah, brown gray. That's 180,000, 180K, not 190. Still, it's measuring in the 20 meg ohm. I'm just going through my stack of resistors, see if I've got one. Okay, I found a little used one here, another little 8th watt resistor. We'll just see if I can put this one in here. It's R554 for those keeping track. Okay, let's check our voltages on this thing. See whether we've got any more voltage, because it's going to 0. Remember, we had like 180 volts on one side of it and 0 on the other. So we should have some voltage back, and this should correct the picture for the brightness limiter. Guess I'd still need to have this out to measure it. It looks like these two resistors are in series with each other. Okay, power. Okay, what do we got on here? We got 180 volts on one side of the resistor, got 69 volts on the other, and then that goes to this resistor, which of course has also got 69 volts. And we have 2 volts over here. We had 0 before. Okay, let's just see whether, oh, I can see the picture already. I can get a reflection off of my power supply. I can see a reflection on it. So let's just turn the TV around and see if we've got a better picture than we did before. My bet is that the picture is better. Aha! We now have a proper picture, if you remember what it looked like before. And I have a full height picture. Alright! So that seems to have fixed the vertical problem as well, because this thing had the picture was like this before, right? Excellent. I don't have any signal hooked up to it. I'll hook up my antenna and my modulators, in other words, because of course there is no such thing as an analog signal anymore. But that's working. And can't have that music playing.
The only way to get all of these lined up is in the position in which we have it now,
which meant that Monica was...
Excellent. I think I've solved the problem. I get a sneaking suspicion that this set still has a problem though, because this definitely had a vertical problem. I can't see a resistor in the ABL, auto brightness limiter circuit, causing a vertical problem, unless a capacitor reformed when it was running, because that certainly it was, you know, it was short. The picture was small before. Let's go take a look in that vertical circuit and see what's going on there. It may be a bad connection. It's corrected itself. But just take a look in that vertical circuit. The vertical circuit's near the front of the set here. So the power is off. This is the vertical circuit here. So this is the vertical output IC here. It doesn't seem like there's a connection problem. Oh yes, when I tap it, there's some lines in the screen. Yeah, this may be where the problem is here. Take a look, okay? When I tap the heatsink, watch the picture. Ah, see? I betcha. There's a connection on that IC. Yeah, I bet you there's a connection on that IC. Also, this capacitor here, looking at it, it almost looks like the top is swollen a bit on this cap. I think we'll change that one out, just because it looks like It looks a little bit like, I don't know if it comes across on camera or not. This cap here looks like the top is bulging up a bit. You see that? It almost looks like the top of it's wet too, like it's been leaking, doesn't it? The top's definitely raised on. I'm going to change that cap out. Don't smell anything, but I'm going to change that cap out and we'll resolder this IC. Made in Mexico. We'll change this cap out. I'm going to resolder this IC because when I tap on this, it flickers and flashes. Check this out. Check this out. That cap looks like it's in backwards. Look at this. So the negative side is facing in towards the heatsink. There's the negative side there. And if you look at the board, negative is away from the heatsink. There's the negative side right there. Yeah, the cap was in backwards. Look at the bottom of it. Huh. So all these years, this cap, this is an original one too. It's a Matsushita cap that's in there. So no one's ever changed that. All these years, that cap was wrong. It was in backwards. Yet it worked. That would explain why its top looks like it's bulging. It looks like the rubber plug on the bottom is kind of pushing out as well, doesn't it? Let me grab a new cap. We'll put the new cap in there and resolder that IC. 100 microfarad, 16 volts. Shouldn't have a problem finding one of those. I've probably got one sitting right here in my parts kit beside me. Well, I gotta go up to a 50 volt, but that's fine. And we'll resolder the IC while I'm at it. Yeah, I know there's a bridge there. We'll take care of that in a minute. I don't like this new soldering tip. It's too bloody big. Maybe some people like those big tips, but I don't. I'm not a fan of them. I learned to solder on a conical tip, and I'm not a big fan of the chisel tip. I don't care what anybody has to say about them. I learned to solder on a conical tip, and I just prefer it. It's a little easier to work with. I've got one here, I just don't have it installed. There, that's my favorite soldering tip. You see the difference between the two of them. One I've currently got on is this one. but I prefer that. I just find that it's easier to work with. Okay, new cap in the correct polarity. Yeah, that's looking good. Looking damn good. Alright, this one here, bad cap. I figure if you look at this one, you can actually see it's been leaking on the top. I don't know if it's going to show up on camera. Maybe I'll get a close-up of this thing, but it looks like it's been leaking. So there's the cap. You can see the top is bulged, and it's been leaking. You can see the electrolytic on top. Anyway, you can see the top is wet. I think probably what happened, I'm sure that this is what was causing that short picture when I first started on this, but when I was running it while I was testing it, it heated up and started to work a little better. Anyway, looking good now. It's got a good picture. These little Panasonic sets were actually pretty good. This is from, what did I say, it was 1993, I think? Yeah, March 1993 is when this set was made. I have an older one, an older version like this that I have out on my back patio that's been, well, I think it's an 89 or 88 model. But similar, it doesn't have the video input on it. But very similar set to this one. And it's been, I mean, I leave it outside. It's been outside for, I don't know, at least 10 years. There's a patio TV. It doesn't get a lot of use, but I never bring it in. I just leave it sit out there day and night, summer, winter. It's not even covered up. It's just sitting on a table beside my patio. I turn it on once in a while if I'm sitting outside, you know, by my fire pit, or if I'm out barbecuing, I'll turn it on to, you know, catch the news or something, right? Because it's just an analog set, so I have to modulate the signal. So I modulate the signal from my cable box and send it out on an analog channel, and that way I can watch it on the old TV. Anyway, this one's fixed. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one real soon. Bye for now.